All right, trade deadline day, and Kwesi did a little bit of cooking. Uh, we were wondering what was going to happen, if anything. The quarterback position, maybe was there going to be like a Daniel Hunter trade? What was going to happen? And we had two surprises. I guess the second one might have been somewhat expected, just because it's of the situation. But the big story of the two is we did get a quarterback. We didn't sign any of the free agents who were out there, who most of them weren't particularly good options. We traded for Joshua Dobbs from the Cardinals, who's been the starting quarterback for the Cardinals so far this season. Picked him up in a seventh for a sixth. So a very minor uh, uh, draft swap. So it's damn near close to like a you know almost like getting him for free. And then the other trade, we traded Ezra Cleveland. Who was a pending free agent, so there was maybe some thought that maybe they trade him to the Jaguars for sixth. So maybe I'll work backwards. The Cleveland trade, I saw a bunch of people mad that we didn't get more from him. I mean, you're trading for a decent guard, and he can play tackle too. Maybe he'll play. I don't know where he'll play with the Jaguars, but you're trading for half a season of a pending free agent offensive lineman who just lost his job to a guy off the street a few weeks ago. I mean, you weren't going to get a whole lot. Now, the argument could have been, well, don't bother trading him at all. It's worth it to have good depth on the offensive line. There's no guarantee that Reisner, there's no guarantee that Ed Ingram are going to be healthy the whole rest of the way. So maybe it might come to a thing where you'd wish you still had Ezra Cleveland here. I don't think that's a bad argument, but I mean, injuries are if an injury is going to happen, it's going to happen, and it's certainly going to happen this goddamn season. You get a little bit of something in return for the guy, and you weren't going to re-sign him. This is clear they weren't going to re-sign him. They're probably looking to move forward next year with Reisner. So that's the deal. But the big trade is the Dobbs trade, and I think the Dobbs trade is a fantastic trade under the circumstances. I mean, you were not going to get a superstar quarterback in here. You were not going to get someone who was going to be a Pro Bowl or all pro level guy. It just wasn't going to happen. And even some of the other guys out there who were talked about for the last couple days, like Kyler Murray or Ryan Tannehill or even like an Andy Dalton, they were going to cost you more in return. You were going to have to give up something, in a couple of those cases, probably something pretty good to get them. And then of course, it probably a couple games before they could even play. So, what are you getting out of it? So I love this trade. I absolutely love this trade. I think it's really good. Now Arizona is willing to trade because they're getting Kyler Murray back, I think, this week. And of course Arizona, the whole thing with Arizona this year, Dobbs was not supposed to be their starting quarterback. It was supposed to be Colt McCoy, who ironically I thought was going to be the guy the Vikings picked up this week. It was supposed to be him, but they cut him like right before the season and made Dobbs the starter. And this was like announcing to the whole world that they're tanking. Like the Cardinals have been tanking. They've been trying to lose this year. And so Dobbs, they just got Dobbs in a trade from, I had to look it up, Cleveland. They got him from Cleveland just like 2 weeks before the season. And he went out there and he was their starter from week one. Now the Cardinals have not won games. They got one win. They got the one win, the huge upset over Dallas. but they've been pretty competitive in just about every game. I think maybe they've been blown out a couple times, but even this past week they got, they were fairly competitive against Baltimore, and Dobbs has played okay. He hasn't been great. He's not. I mean, along with other things, the Cardinals don't really have much on their team, but Dobbs has been okay. Like he's been keeping them in games with not a lot to work with, and perhaps working for an organization that does not want to win, that very much wants to lose. And he's kept them competitive, and they've only got the one win, but they've made it tough for a few of the teams they've played, and they played some good teams. Like they've played a lot of teams that have winning records. So I mean, to be able to get a guy and get him for so little, who's been a starter this year. Like it's not like you're bringing a guy in who hasn't played all year. This guy's played 8 games or whatever. I don't know if they've had their bye yet. I think they're like 1-6 or 1-7, but he's played all year. He's played okay. Like you're not going to get anyone who's going to be a star, but he's played okay, and he's had some history of kind of showing up with a team and then being kind of thrown into the fire immediately and being okay, because the same thing happened, or not the same thing, but a similar thing happened last year with when he was with Tennessee. He got picked up late in the season, added to their practice squad, and then within like a couple of weeks, he's starting a do or die for the division game against the Jaguars, and they were in that game. Now they lost, but I kind of like the idea of getting a guy who could maybe play quickly if you need him. And they also announced, amongst everything else today, they announced Kirk officially on injured reserve, but they also announced that Jaren Hall will start the game against the Falcons, and I think they're going to give him a legitimate shot. So he's gonna be starting this week. If he looks pretty good, I think they'll just keep going with him. But if he doesn't, then here comes Dobbs, and I think he will play. I think they got him because they know what I know. What I just said is that he can pick this up pretty quickly and get out there and play. And he's these other opportunities he's had, he hasn't had the type of supporting cast that he'll have here. And does that mean he's going to blossom and be great? No, but it could. But it can't hurt. So this also tells me that they probably don't think Nick Mullins is going to have much of a chance at being serviceable the rest of the year. He's on IR now. The back injury, those things. A back injury can really derail you. So I would guess going forward it's going to be Hall 1, Dobbs a close second, Mullins third if you need him, and Sean Mannion can stay on the practice squad, I guess. And hopefully never see any field again. But I love this trade. I think this is for a value trade. Like it's you're getting him for almost nothing. It's almost like the Cam Akers trade where you basically get him for free, and that trade's worked out pretty well. I think it's an excellent trade by Kwesi to get this guy, and and it's a good opportunity for Dobbs if he gets in there and has to play. He's a pending free agent. He could maybe have a shot at getting some interest next year too, and maybe things work out. Maybe he's back here next year. Maybe he'd be in the plans for 2024 either as a backup or as like a temporary placeholder for a rookie or whatever works out. But I think this is a fantastic trade. Best case scenario is it's a great trade that we never even see the guy play, because Jaren Hall goes out there and really showcases himself and makes himself look like the QB of the future, which would be great. But we'll see. We'll start finding that out next week. But it's a great insurance policy and a terrific trade. No other no other moves other than those two for the Vikings. There were some rumored things. There were some other trades in the league, but nothing else Vikings related. And good job, Kwesi. I think this was a terrific trade to get this guy in here. We'd rather not had to make the trade. I mean, I wish we weren't having to hear about Kirk going on IR, but it's the way it is. But I think we've kind of got a situation now where we've got some options that can get us through the season and keep us competitive. And one of the teams that's going to be right in there, that was going to be right in there for the wild card, spot that we're fighting for, Washington, they traded half their fucking team. So, I think we got a shot, and we'll see if it's Hall or Dobbs going forward long term. But either way, I think we're in. I'm not gonna say we're in good shape, because you lose your star quarterback in the middle of the season, you're never in good shape. But hopefully, we can be in okay shape and remain competitive all the way through the season.